But I had Brian, Brian gave us one take. It pissed him off so much he had to leave the discussion. The draft upset him so much. He couldn't make it through one take of the draft, and he's done.
Get ready. Class is about to begin. With green white dudes coming at you with some heat. Welcome to School of Hot Takes.
All right, welcome back, everyone. It is the School of Hot Takes back with another podcast episode. Today, we are going to go over the results of the draft, talk about a few teams, some of their picks and results, go through what at least the NFL has suggested here, may talk about some other people's picks, what people are saying online, how each team did, just go over the basics. Had about a week and a half to sit and brew about all this. So I think we've got some good discussion coming up and looking forward to get into it.
I've definitely been brewing, that's for sure.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
brewing happening over here.
yeah,
Yeah.
I needed a week and a half just to think about this.
Yeah.
Just to
Well,
really
I
wrap
know
my mind around it.
we wanted to do this a couple days ago, but just could not get it scheduled where it worked for all of
Yeah,
us.
we
So
couldn't get it up.
no, it's just
We couldn't
too
get it up
hard.
for the draft.
Yeah, yeah, that happens. It's getting we are getting older now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, happens to the
Tough.
best of us. But
It is tough.
anyway, what'd you guys think of the draft overall? Just the whole experience and everything. I mean, I thought it was an interesting draft to say the least. I don't know if it was like the best draft ever or whatnot, but I mean, it wasn't terrible by any means.
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, overall, I mean, it's nice to see the Steelers right there at the top. There were some wild takes in the beginning, including my boy
Definitely.
Michael Penix that we'll definitely get into. So happy to
Mhm.
see that. But I think, at least in terms of the beginning, it went pretty on track how most people had it going with the trades and everything.
Yeah,
So I
I
think that
definitely sort of agree.
which I kind of hate. I actually really hate that. I wish there wasn't so much coverage before. Like I really would like the things to stay way more on the low key. I wish teams, even like the Bears, wouldn't be like saying anything at all. Like yeah, we
Just
might
to keep the
yeah
suspense going.
yeah we might take some fucking shit squad. Like who cares? Like I think that would be way more fun.
Hmm. Yeah, it was, I mean, everyone had their mock drafts, but I think what the first 9 picks were pretty reasonable. I think everyone got like them within a pick or two, like
Well,
a
first
early
I think
going.
there's
first
a
seven. Yeah,
I was
first
gonna
First
say I
seven.
think
seven.
there's a pick
Well,
that
Penix
happened
went
at
at
number
10.
8 that
Penix
people
went at
didn't
10. That's
really
why I said 9, but
Penix did not go at 10, I
He
don't
went at
think.
8.
did
Yeah,
He
he
went
he?
at
went at
8.
8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I mean overall I think what's as someone who like really likes to do mock drafts, I was really kicking myself because I was trying to be a little bit different, trying to be a little bit unique in my takes. And then it's just like there are so many obvious picks that are like, okay, well, Jaden Daniels obviously was probably going to go to the Commanders.
Hmm.
I was really kicking myself for that.
Yeah, we did try to
But
persuade you on that one.
yeah, it was an interesting. I think the first round was not that surprising. I think the
Hmm.
guys that ended up kind of falling surprised me a little bit. There were a couple players who were definitely first round talents that kind of fell out.
Yep. Definitely agree there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%. But I had Brian, Brian gave us one take. It pissed him off so much he had to leave the discussion. The draft upset him so much he couldn't make it through one take of the draft, and he's done. Yeah, I was looking at some of these other like the Athletic has the where does the NFL have the Bears or not the Bears?
Number
Sorry,
two.
the Lions. How about the Lions?
Let me see here. 16.
See, this one has the Lions at number 3.
Where are you looking?
I'm looking at the Athletic.
Okay.
I tried not to look at somewhere super mainstream, and their whole basis for this is because of Terrion. I think it's Terrion
Arnold.
Arnold, the
Yeah.
cornerback from Alabama, because this guy's like he was the number one.
Still, he
Uh,
was the 24th overall pick for a team to be ranked third best in the draft just from one player that late in the
yeah,
first is kind of a little suspect.
For real.
And then they
Who
also
were
had like a
you?
late second round and then some fourth and sixth round picks. So I mean, I wouldn't say their draft was like great by any standards, at least not third overall. So welcome back, Brian. Me and Dylan were just saying that you heard one hot take and just decided to like
Yeah, the entire draft just pissed him off.
yep.
He was done.
Yeah, really, it was Mitch saying that Penix was taken at 10. I can't
Yeah,
can't
sorry.
talk to people who
It
don't
was
know
right around
ball.
there. The
That's funny.
Yeah, the draft was good.
yeah, it was pretty decent, you know. It was good.
All right. So since we're on the Steelers, one of the teams that I picked out as a good draft, a draft that I wanted to talk about was the Steelers. And I think this is kind of an obvious one, so we can get this out of the way quick.
Yep.
When you look at drafts, I think the best way to determine whether it's good is how many starters are taken. Obviously, you cannot determine how good these players are going to be before training camp even starts. But what you can do is you can project whether they're going to start. I think the Steelers drafted 5 starters. I think Troy Fautanu is going to start at left tackle. Zach
100%.
Frazier is going to start at center.
Yep.
Roman Wilson will be WR3, potentially
Mhm.
WR2. Peyton Wilson will
Ooh,
start
okay.
at Mike linebacker. And Mason McCormick will probably end up taking somebody's job.
He might be like a
as
flex guard, sort of working his way in here and there, sort of like
yeah, left guard, something like that. Logan Lee has a decent chance to start as well. So between those two guys, one of them is probably going to be on the field a lot.
Mhm.
And I think that is really, really good for a Steelers team that their offensive line has just kind of sucked for the past 5 years.
Absolutely.
Last year was so bad to watch. Like we needed help on offensive line, and honestly, I'm glad this is where our focus was this draft. Like later on
Yeah,
in the draft, like in the fourth, fifth, sixth round, I was hoping we would take maybe like another defensive guy, but I'm happy with the Logan Lee and Ryan Watts pick. I think I looked up on a little bit on them afterward, and I think for where we got them value wise, I think they're pretty good. So
did you guys see what Kenny P said after he was pissed because we didn't do this with him? He's like, "Why didn't we do this draft when I was still there?" I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean,
did he
it's
actually say that?
Yeah, he did comment on it after. Yes,
Wow.
that's exactly the reporters asked him about it that like next whatever the next day training camp or whatever, and he was like, "Yeah, I just don't understand why they didn't do this with me there."
I think he's totally justified in thinking that
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
it is
yeah.
not sexy to take 2 offensive linemen in the first 2 rounds, but this has been something that I've been wanting the Steelers to do for like 5 years. You know, we
Yeah.
passed up on Creed Humphrey to draft Pat Fryermuth. And not that Pat Fryermuth is not a good tight end. I think he's very solid, but
Mhm.
Creed Humphrey is a top 5 center in the league. And he
Oh, yeah,
was sitting right there in the second round a couple years ago. We could have taken him. Broderick Jones last year is a decent tackle. I think he'll probably continue to get better. But there were good tackle options on the board in the second round last year that we could have tried and made a move on. So,
Yep.
you know, again, not to say that George Pickens isn't bad or is bad or any of these other players that we've drafted. We have a really high hit rate on these like second round, third round players. But at the same time, eventually we just had to buckle down and draft a bunch of offensive linemen. And I think this draft meets that need and then some. I expect, like I said, 3, 4, 5 of these guys to be starters on the team this year.
I love
Yeah.
how they said shook. That's their beginning, how they start this. NFL.com is shook.
That's a guy's name, bro.
Oh, really? That's so funny. Really? I thought they were actually just like, yo, we're shook, bro. That's so funny. Dude, that's terrible. All right.
All right, well, let's move it down. Any quick comments on the Bears here? I think most of these
I mean,
picks for them were pretty expected. At least
They
those
Yeah.
didn't fuck it up, that's
three
for sure.
picks. Yeah.
dude, getting Romo Dunze with Caleb Williams is disgusting, though.
Yeah.
Already having
If they
the
can get
other
that
two-
connection pretty quick in the season, they could be pretty dangerous, honestly.
Oh my gosh, yeah. To already have DJ Moore there, like that's insane.
And
Mhm.
Keenan Allen.
And Keenan Allen.
True. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
there now.
it's
Still got a
going to be
couple
a
years
really
left.
good offensive core.
Eagles,
I
I
wanted
think,
to
really did crush it.
I wanted to touch quick on the Eagles here. I think they had a pretty decent draft. I watched up to their third round pick. But Quinion Mitchell, I think, was pretty solid pick for them in the first round. They definitely needed help on defense in general this year. So I think he's going to be, like you said, Brian, an immediate starter. And Cooper DeJean, I know we were all hoping he was
School
going to
your
slide to
boy.
us in the second round, but they took him like, what was it, one or two picks right in front of us. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think if he can find his footing, I think he could do pretty well. I'm still not completely sold on him. I just have to see how he does starting out here, but I have hope for him.
Will
I think-
Shipley is a baller, and so is Trotter. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is also extremely good. Both of those two from Clemson are
Mhm.
dogs. They're going to be really, really good.
Yeah. You can see why this was such a highly rated draft by NFL.com. I don't necessarily love all of the picks that they made, but Cooper DeJean
Yep.
at 2, man, there's not a better team for Cooper DeJean to slide in. And, if you guys remember what I said in the last podcast, I said Cooper DeJean is probably not going to be a corner. And if you look there, he's listed as a DB.
Yep.
He's going to be a defensive weapon. I'm telling you, the Eagles are going to use him to rush the passer. They're going to use him as a corner. They're going to use him as a safety. They might even put him at D tackle. I don't know what they're going to do with Cooper DeJean, but he's going to be all over the place making plays. I think that's a perfect spot for him. I'm not crazy high on Quinion Mitchell or Johnny Wilson or any of those other players, but Cooper DeJean in the second round, awesome pick by the Eagles.
Yep. And when I said Quinion Mitchell is going to be a starter for the Eagles and where they're at right now, he's definitely going to be starting for them.
Yeah.
One of the better players at that position in the NFL. Still yet to be seen.
It was a
Correct.
position of need for them. It was a position of
Correct.
need for them. So you can't be mad at the pick. I would have taken Nate Wiggins over him, but I understand taking
Yeah.
Quinion for sure.
Cool. Brian, I know you had the Chargers that you thought they had a pretty good draft
Yeah,
here.
this is my number 1 draft. And so it's interesting that they ranked it as number 4. I haven't seen it highly. I tried to take a look around at some of the other takes. But again, if you're talking about a team and how many draft picks are going to start, I see a world where I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starters out of, what is that, like 8 or 9 picks.
Yeah.
And to get that insane value, I don't understand how they're not number 1. I think they're still underrated here at number 4. Joe Alt obviously is the best tackle in this class. They're going to move him to right tackle, which, who knows how that's going to go, but I'm sure within 2 years that he will be amazing no matter where they have him. Ladd McConkey is a guy that I'm really high on. I think he's a top 5 receiver in this draft. That dude is an amazing route runner. He's low-key fast. He catches everything. He is really, really, really good in the snag game. Again, at 34, I don't have any concerns about that receiver room right now with Ladd McConkey and Brendan Rice. I think Brendan Rice is also low-key underrated. I think he had really good college tape. Of course, he had not Patrick Mahomes. He had the next Patrick Mahomes, Caleb Williams throwing him the ball, but really good. Junior Colson, fast linebacker. Tarheeb Steele, Maryland DB, really good player. Kind of slow, kind of had a bad combine, but Tarheeb Steele, very, very good. I think this Chargers room right here, this Chargers draft room and the Chargers locker room that they have right now, I would not be surprised if they make a playoff run. I think they're easily the second best team in the AFC West. And when the first best team is the Chiefs, can you really be upset that they're the second best team in that division?
True.
I think this is just a really stacked draft class, and I can't wait to see what Harbaugh and Justin Herbert are able to cook up with this team. I think there's going to be so many interesting players and interesting plays and highlights that we get to watch this year because of these players that they drafted.
Yeah.
And also, Cornelius Johnson's not bad either. And, the connection already to Harbaugh from being the Michigan man.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of potential here for this team. It's whether they can get it all to work in the first year with a lot of these new like you said,
Well,
starting players and new coaching staff essentially. Like
they got the
it's
best coach for it. He's one of the best motivators in the
true.
entire league, so he'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
this will be like one of the fun teams to watch this year. I have a feeling the Chargers. So, just wanted to touch on the Cardinals here quick. I think they had a good overall draft. I wasn't like blown away by any of their later picks, but I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., how do you not take him at 4 overall? I mean, the first 3 picks at quarterback, this is your next best available guy in the whole draft. So, I mean, obvious pick there. If they can get Kyler Murray and him to link up, it's going to be a great season for them, I think, honestly.
Trey
And
Benson's pretty solid as well. Trey Benson's really good.
Yeah, Trey
yeah,
Benson's all right. I see a world where he's the starter week 1. I think he'll be a really interesting running back to watch. He's my RB 2 or 3 in this class. I can't remember exactly how I had him ranked, but Trey Benson, of the big names, I think he is one of the better ones to get. Darius Robinson, I'm not gonna lie, didn't watch any of his tape.
yeah.
I know he was projected. I know he was projected first round, but I didn't watch any of his tape. I was not moved to watch Darius Robinson. I didn't really watch a lot of edge rushers this year. But I do know that the Lions were trying to trade up to draft him. So I think it's
Mhm.
interesting that the Cardinals were kind of able to maneuver a way to get him. I think it's a pick of need. Again, like he's probably going to start for the Cardinals. So you can't really be mad at them taking a shot in a position of need.
Yeah.
And he's a player
Absolutely,
that
yeah.
other
Like we've
teams
said, position of
trying to
need for
trade
the
up for.
team, whether he's going to be one of the better players at that position in the league this year, can't say for certain. So,
Also, real quick, Christian Jones, big boy. Christian Jones is huge, man.
is he?
Oh,
I don't think
offensive
he's going to
tackle.
he's not going to start, obviously, but Christian Jones is a depth piece. That dude's like 3'9", 380 pounds or something. He's huge. He's a big boy.
All right.
I'm excited to see him. I can't wait.
Just real
Hey,
quick,
the Colts
I don't
Colts
think
wasn't bad. I didn't think the Colts had a bad. I mean, their first pick was what Latu? Yeah, yeah, he's pretty
yeah.
good.
Yeah. I had them
Oh,
as
and they
my-
traded up to get Mitchell without, or no, they didn't trade up. They grabbed him right in the second. That was a really good
Mhm.
pick.
Yeah. Yeah. To get the first defensive player on the board, I think you got to love that if you're the Colts, a team that was just outside the playoffs, to be
Mhm.
able
Yeah,
to have your pick of the litter in terms of defensive players. And again, not to toot my own horn, but I had Latu as my number 1 defensive player in this year's draft. And
There you
there he
go.
goes, number 1. So really good draft by the Colts.
I think they're going to be calling
Um,
your name.
I don't know that I agree with the Raiders having the 7th best draft this season.
Oh,
I
it's because of those first 2 picks. It's because
They
Jackson
were
Powers
so
Johnson was
confusing.
super high, and then Brock Bowers is apparently the greatest thing since sliced bread, according to
I
literally
guess.
everybody.
But when they took him, I was like, "Who? I don't know that that was your number 1 position of need." Like,
Well, I think it honestly
Yeah,
for that team, they need obviously a lot more help, but
yeah,
I think all of the quarterbacks were gone.
bruh,
I
who the
believe,
fuck are they starting at quarterback?
dude, they're gonna have to start one of their 2 scrubs they have now.
It's gonna be Gardner Minshew. It's
Oh
gonna be
yeah, I mean
Gardner
honestly,
Minshew.
it is.
Gardner. So Gardner did really well last year for the Colts, all things considering. But I think that he's obviously the team now is more defensive, so I don't think it's gonna be great. But Brock Bowers, I mean, might as well in fantasy, and he's gonna get all the targets. So might
Yeah.
as well just get Brock Bowers. You know what I mean? It's just gonna be Brock Bowers, maybe a little bit of Devontae Adams, but mainly Brock Bowers.
Yeah, I also don't agree that this is the 7th best draft. I think
Yeah, it
Brock
is.
Bowers, he's good, but you just drafted a very early tight end last year. You're basically leaving Michael Mayer to block.
Yeah.
And then Jackson Powers Johnson would be a really good pick. Um, they're gonna have to move somebody around that offensive line because they just signed their center. I think his name is Andre James. Andre James is like on the roster for the next 6 years or something ridiculous. Like he's a really big contract.
Mhm.
And Jackson
It looks
Powers
like they're moving him
Johnson.
to guard, right?
But yeah, Jackson Powers Johnson projected as a center. So it looks like maybe he's being listed as a guard here. I think that would be interesting, but I don't like that pick as much if he's moving to guard. I don't think that that's a slam dunk pick, him moving to guard. I think this is a bottom 5 draft. I'm going to be completely honest
Yeah,
with you.
Yeah, I mean,
I
look at in this
just
little write up. It's all about. It's literally all about those two players, their first and second picks, and then Jermaine. Wait, what's yeah? Yeah. So it's not really that much of anything.
Yeah, well, they're shook about it, so
Yeah, another team they're shook about. I'm just saying. So
uh, I have nothing to say
If
about
there's any teams that I'm passing by here that you guys want to touch
the
on,
Jags. I do want to touch on the Jags
Yep.
just really quickly. You don't even have to keep all of this in, but I don't understand why the Jags drafted so many LSU players.
they love them.
I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. was my WR4 after like those big three of Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, and Marvin Harrison, obviously. So I like that pick at number 1, and to trade back and get him is an awesome move. But then in round 2 to go with Mason Smith, and then Jordan Jefferson later, and I think they picked up an undrafted free agent from LSU. LSU's defense not good. LSU's defense was
No.
not good, and you took their 2 defensive linemen. I'm pretty sure they took a DB as an undrafted free agent. So to really just invest so much in an LSU team that was very underwhelming, especially on the defensive side, I don't really understand what the Jags are
Leaves a
doing.
lot out there to question why they did so. Like,
Yeah, and again, I mean, Mason Smith will probably start, but even if you're looking at it purely from like we talked about before, how many of these players are going to start?
mhm.
I think there's probably only 2, and one of those would be Cam Little, the kicker, is probably going to be the starting kicker for the Jaguars, and then obviously Brian Thomas would be
Brian Thomas,
WR1 or 2. But outside of that, man, I don't know if any of these players are really going to see significant field time, and I
Mhm.
don't think they're that good.
Yeah,
Now they all say down here in this write-up, it does say all about rotational players.
yeah.
Also, shout out though to Brian Thomas, his family for that interview.
That was so
Greatest,
funny.
what a
Oh,
great
yeah.
interview.
They asked
That
my
was
mom,
such a
"How
good
far
one.
have you guys come from Baton Rouge, Louisiana?"
Oh man, great interview though.
That was so funny.
Why is Cincinnati? I've seen them up really high for no reason. They didn't really do that much.
I think it has a lot to do with
Mims?
Amarius Mims and Chris Jenkins.
Okay.
I
And
also think a
again,
lot of these
I mean,
rankings are based on the first 2 picks.
yeah,
That's
And
once you get out of the
would
first
add in
3
depth.
rounds, it is kind of a crapshoot. It's just like
Yeah, it's hard.
most
to
of those
judge.
players do not see a second contract. So I understand why, to look at it as a whole, you might be a little bit naive, which is maybe why the
Yeah.
Steelers are so high, because it's like
Yeah.
they have players in the 3rd and 4th rounds that are going to be starters. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not as high on the Bengals. I think Amarius Mims is a little bit overrated. I don't really like him.
yeah.
I don't like the Rams draft either. I know we won't have to talk about it too much, but the Rams
Chiefs.
draft is terrible.
I mean, Chiefs.
Chiefs at number
wasn't
12. What do you
terrible.
think of that?
Um, yeah, I would have the Chiefs higher. I think getting Xavier Worthy is not fair. I think Xavier Worthy projects to be Tyreek Hill 2.0. I think he's obviously as fast, if not faster, according to the combine. But he's also an all-around really good receiver. One of the issues Tyreek Hill had that nobody talks about when he first came in the league, Tyreek Hill ran such a very limited route tree. He ran like 3 routes. It was like get him the ball underneath, streaks, and then like drags and screens and stuff to get him the ball again. It wasn't until like maybe 5 years in the league that they started doing some crazy interesting stuff with him. I think Xavier Worthy coming out will have a much more developed route tree. I think they'll be able to use him like Tyreek a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think
I
you're
did
gonna
hear
have that,
though
like,
one of his downsides though is his hands. He did have a problem with drop, especially at the end of the season there. That's why they went to Mitchell as their WR1 towards the end. That was his one knock that I was seeing.
yeah,
hands.
you know, and you gotta hope that Patrick
Drops for the
Mahomes
Chiefs are
don't-
not great. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm optimistic. I think even if he is a guy that kind of struggles with his hands, is he going to be worse than Kadarius Toney?
maybe that's another Kadarius Toney. Once he almost broke the
Okay.
almost broke the combine record. Super shifty, super fast, electric coming out of college. The exact same story, honestly. It very well could be another one.
Yeah, fair. I also like Kingsley Suamataia, Matea at round 2. I think he's a starter.
BYU.
I think he's a starter. They had a terrible time. I don't know if you guys remember what's his name? Was it Jawan Taylor last year? Was like the most penalized player in the NFL by like
Oh
such
yeah.
a large margin. I
Oh,
think
Mhm.
yeah, good
he
call.
just lost his job to a second round player from BYU. Whether he's good or not, I don't know, but I think he is going to start somewhere either on the right side or the left side. Jaden Hicks is probably a starter. Um,
Took 2 more
yeah,
offensive linemen in the late rounds there as well. I see Penn State. Nice.
Woo.
yeah, I don't know much about that guy, but I mean, they do need
CJ
O-line depth
Hansen.
for sure.
Yeah.
Holy
Those
cross.
two as depth adds are going to be good. I know obviously they're coming up on contract years for a lot of their players. They're really good offensive linemen they drafted a couple years ago. So I wouldn't be surprised if those are like insurance picks just to be like, well, we have a guy if we need it.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch quick. The Chiefs managing to convince Buffalo to trade back was just so confusing at the time. Like I didn't understand the move
It's because
that
Buffalo's a
much. I
train
mean,
wreck. The
I
Chiefs are their daddy, and they
I
understand that.
understand, but it just did not make sense. Like when you can get Worthy, why trade back just to get who was it, Legit?
My theory is, and the thing that we always seem to forget with these teams is we see all these like players in these positions kind of on the same level of each other. It's like, oh, why wouldn't you just take the best receiver there? There's a really good chance that the Bills WR1 was Keon Coleman. I mean, we'll talk about that, I guess, when we get to the Bills draft. But if the
Yeah.
Bills really like Keon Coleman and they knew that the Chiefs were getting Xavier Worthy, why not trade back and get an extra pick when your team is so bad? There's nobody on that team right now. They cut so many players. You need depth. You need to add as many players as you can. And if the Chiefs are going to take a receiver that you aren't high on, I completely understand the trade back.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it was
For
just
to play in Buffalo, yeah, probably. I don't see Xavier Worthy doing much in Buffalo cold weather.
yeah.
Neither,
Like I
maybe
said
not
though,
Keon Coleman
just
though.
right at the time when it happened, it was just so confusing. And I know there's a
When
whole bunch
Daddy
of that
calls,
knows
you
about it
answer. You know
too.
what I'm saying? When Daddy calls, you answer. You know.
Uh, all right, let's scroll on down here to some of these lesser
Hey,
teams.
Jets though, low key Jets actually did really well. That's a good ass draft right there.
I disagree.
They snuck in Jordan Travis, and Jordan Travis was actually pretty good.
Bruh. Jordan Travis is not good.
He's not, but he tore his ACL, but before that, he was fine. He would have been, listen, if he, let me ask you this, before the ACL, would he not have been talked about with JJ McCarthy and all the rest of them before? Because he was once again another undefeated team that was trying to get into the playoffs. He would have been talked about in the same light as just like
Yeah.
everybody else.
I think the only thing I like about this pick is that he does get a chance to sit behind Aaron Rodgers.
True.
I think this is the best possible place for him to go in terms of like a guy that
Yeah.
really, really needs time to develop to even have a chance in
Mhm.
this league. I think he's a
Jordan
little bit
Love.
overrated based off his college tape. I don't
That
think,
was the same thing they said about Jordan Love. Exact same thing.
yeah, I don't think Jordan Love's that good either.
Who
But we
who
can
do
move on.
Oh
the
my
Jets
gosh,
have?
that's absurd. He killed it this year. And then
What
look at
did
the
you
guy that
just
got next.
say?
Quantez Stiggers. That's a crazy name.
Hey, me and Mitch got to watch the Quantez Stickers draft pick live.
Yeah,
It was really exciting
It was fun.
that's crazy.
to see that
Uh
name pop up on our screen. We were a little bit shook,
Yeah.
dare I say.
yeah,
Who do the Jets have as a backup right now for a quarterback? Who's behind him
that
in
Jordan
is
Buffalo?
Travis.
Jordan Travis is
Is
it.
It's
that it?
Jordan Travis, man.
Yeah, because they
Oh
traded
wow.
what's his face, old blonde boy,
Yeah, I saw they
Zach
sent him out west,
Zach
but
Wilson. They traded him, so he's gone. And then Boyle was
Yeah,
like
Tim Boyle.
one throw away from working at McDonald's, so he's gone.
Oh, well, let's hope Aaron Rodgers doesn't.
All right, that's my hot take for this whole thing. Jordan Travis is going to be fine. He's going to be pretty good.
We
Couple
okay.
Hey, I
years.
mean,
I hate these hot takes, but we're gonna keep moving.
That's why they're hot takes. Love it. Yeah, I don't care about
Ryan,
that.
anything to comment on the Ravens here since you
I
were
mean, they got my corner one. Nate Wiggins is my true corner one, getting him at 30 overall. I mean, the Ravens they're a team, man, that in the first round, they're gonna somehow get like one of the top 10, 15 players, and they're drafting in like the back 15.
Yeah.
It never makes any sense to me. I said the same thing when they got Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum. I don't know how they keep getting these players. Nate Wiggins is going to ball out. I have no doubt in my mind Nate Wiggins is going to be a really, really good corner. He's got to kind of bounce back from injury, but I think he's going to be really, really good. Um, Tez Walker is a guy a lot of people were really high on. People thought he was going to go in the second or the third. And the fact that they were able to get him in the fourth round, again, just a really, really good pick. That dude is also very fast. He's been compared to, I'm trying to remember the name of the guy, Martez Valdez-Scantling.
Oh yeah.
In
Okay.
terms of a guy who also does not have amazing hands, but he is going to run those streaks and get open and make
Get
those
those-
contested catches when you need them.
Yeah.
And I think
probably
that's
another star
okay.
running back too. Ali Rasheen, probably another star running back. They just know how to pick him.
He's all right. He's all right.
Hey, listen, for the Ravens, everyone turns out to be just freaking.
Yeah, he'll be a good change of pace behind Derrick Henry. He's really quick on his feet, but
No one thought what's his face Mitchell this year was going to be any good, and then he turned out to be a baller. The games he did
right.
play.
That's a good comp for Adley, honestly. That's a pretty good comp. Change of pace.
Yeah,
Not a starter.
Yeah,
he was
Texans.
good.
I think I'm just gonna get into my hot take now. I think the Texans are gonna make a huge playoff push, like into the AFC Championship.
Yeah, you don't
Could
go
go
say
for
you
the
made a
Super
bet
Bowl.
for him to win the Super Bowl, Mitch.
That's
so.
not even a hot take. That's not a hot take.
It's not a terrible
Yeah.
hot take, but I mean,
Mitch, they were a playoff team last year. They got to the divisional round.
I understand.
What's a huge
I'm saying
playoff
they
push for
could-
you? To win one more game?
That is true.
I'm saying
I'm
they
just
with
confused
what
on
they
how
got
hot
here
this
though.
take is.
With what they got here though, I think they could make that push to the Super Bowl.
One of our fans did comment and say that they wish our takes were hotter, and I can't agree with them more. This is a very
Yeah.
cool take. The Texans are probably, I don't know if you want
That's
to
like
do
me
this
going and
live.
saying the Packers. I think the Packers might make a pretty deep.
I don't know if
push.
you want to do this live, but what are the betting odds for the Texans to win the Super Bowl? Actually,
He already bet them. He already did it.
no, but I want to say like
They're
where does
like
everybody?
plus 8 right now. They're like plus 800 or like plus 1,000 or something like that.
Yeah, they're somewhere around that range. I think they're like the 8th best odds right now
Yeah.
or something, I want to say.
They are the
If you put-
third, sir. I believe.
Are they? Where are you
Yeah.
looking on?
I'm looking at the first link that popped up. So okay, no, I'm sorry. They are the seventh behind Niners, Chiefs, Ravens, Lions, Bills, Bengals. Fuck the Bengals, dude. What the hell? And then the Texans at plus
You can't bet.
1,500.
You can't bet against Joey Burr.
I'm just saying the Texans are a team that people are expecting to make it to at least the divisional round again. So I don't think it's that hot of a take to be like, oh, they're a Super Bowl favorite.
No,
I
100%.
still think
So
they could
push
make the
back
push.
on your hot
With what
take.
okay. Hey, I'm just saying.
I just don't think that's. and
I
think
was
I
not
think you're
disappointed
right.
with their draft, is what I'm saying. And I think
They
with
do
what
have
got
Buffalo
here-
still ahead of them right now, which is crazy.
I agree with that. I agree with that a little bit.
Yeah, for what they got here and what they needed to fill, I think they're plugging the small amount of holes that they had from last season.
Yeah.
So-
If I can push back, I do not like their draft.
They
Kamari
didn't get any
Lassiter-
superstars, but I mean, they got some players that they can rotate in, and they're going to be pretty decent where they need them to be.
Yeah, Kamari Lassiter is a guy who completely fucked up his combine. He came in as a projected potential first overall DB, and his combine grade was so bad that he slid to 42 overall. And even that, I think, is a reach, honestly, considering some of the other DBs that were on the board there at 42. I don't think he's necessary. I mean, he'll probably start, I guess, but he's not going to be good. That's my take. I think Blake Fisher, again, good depth piece. They did get the best safety, at least in my opinion, with Bullock there. But, how much do they really need a safety? I don't know. And then I don't really see any other projected starters on this team
Yeah.
besides that safety.
These are
and
going to be
Kamari Lassiter.
rotational guys, fill in when they need them, sort of thing. Like no superstars, like I said, but I
Yeah.
think for what the team needed to make that extra push, I think this was a pretty good draft for them.
I think this is a bottom 10 draft, I would have to say. I don't know if that's a hotter take than they're going to the Super Bowl, but I think this is a bottom 10 draft. I think
Okay.
putting them at 18, I don't know. I get it. You don't want to be low on a team that just killed the draft a year ago, but
Yeah.
there's
Makes
not
sense.
many CJ Strouds or Will Anderson Juniors here.
Yeah.
Facts.
Browns had a terrible draft. The Titans had a terrible draft. We don't have to talk about those either, but they had a terrible draft.
Anything about the Commanders here taking Jaden Daniels?
Besides that, it was broadcasted to the entire world like 4 weeks in advance. No,
Yeah. I'm less interested in talking
Luke
about Jaden
McCaffrey,
Daniels.
ridiculous.
Okay.
Who?
He's not going to be good. Luke
Yeah,
McCaffrey.
he's not going to be
Oh,
good.
Luke McCaffrey.
No,
Yeah,
he got in because of his name. No, I'm not saying he's good.
Pretty
But I
much.
think it's ridiculous he even got in. He played at Rice. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. He'll be a practice squad guy for sure. I'm
yeah.
more interested in talking about the Commanders somehow landing Johnny Newton from Illinois. He was a guy who should have been a first round pick, and they got him at 36. And to a team that I'm not sure how they're even going to use him. I think obviously they're going to find a way to put him on the field, but they already have two really, really good D tackles. And to get Johnny Newton, I don't really understand what they're going to do with him. I guess they might have him play like in a 3-4 technique. They might have him play left end, but that's a steal there. If they can somehow find a way to put him on the field, Johnny Newton is going to be a baller.
I think the Commanders just needed a lot of help, honestly, and they were maybe taking best available at what they could.
I feel like they've done that for about 12 years and it hasn't really done
It's
much.
not worked for them yet, but who knows? This could be.
They get best available. They get a guy, and then they trade him in 4 years because they don't want to pay him, and they just keep this cycle. Yeah, Miami, fuck them.
I do want to say real quick about Miami before we
Mhm.
move on.
Yep.
My number one running back was Jalen Wright out of Tennessee.
Okay.
Oh, really? They did
Yeah.
get chopped.
Jalen Wright. Yeah, Chop Robinson's a good pick too. I like that pick. Patrick Paul, I think, is overrated. I did watch a little bit of Patrick Paul tape. I don't think he's a second round talent. But that's beside the point, I guess, because I do want to talk about Jalen Wright. Dude, this Dolphins running game, it's gonna be gross, man. I don't even know what to say.
How does he even slide in there? Oh, I guess
They
those
had
two
just
both
have-
get injured a lot. They
Right.
get injured a ton.
A-Chain
Mm,
and
Yeah.
Mostert both got hurt last year,
yeah.
and they were starting like Jeff Wilson and Sullivan Ahmed and like
Mhm.
just some players that probably shouldn't be starting in that Dolphins offense. So to have Jalen Wright there, who is again just break the back of a defense like fast, like
Mhm.
he gets in the open space, it's game over. He gets past 10 yards, it's game over. He's going for a big gain or a touchdown. I think it does suck that he probably won't see the field a lot for the next 2 years because Mostert is going to be there for 2 years and A-Chain's going to be there for 3. But he's a player that I'm sure they're going to find a way to get him the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if they do some weird stuff where they put like Mostert or A-Chain or Jalen Wright as a receiver or have him go in motion and try and do some crazy stuff with it. I think Mike McDaniels is that kind of guy that he's going to do.
Is Jalen Wright one of those pass catching running backs, or is that not his?
He can do that. Like I said, his big thing is his speed. He is really, really fast. And he's not just fast, he's elusive. He's one of those guys, like I said, you get him in the open space, he's a touchdown hawk. Like he's going to get out there, he's going to do it. I've seen him break tackles too, which is kind of why I had him as my RB1. I think he's a little bit better than what's his name? Trey Benson at breaking tackles. So I had him above Trey Benson, and Trey Benson is the only other guy that I would kind of compare him to in terms of like breakout speed. Yeah.
Oh, he's a big back too. Yeah, I'm looking here. He is 5'11", so he's a big boy.
Yeah, he's really good.
5'11".
I think
210.
I think the Broncos had not a great draft at all.
Bo Nix, Drew Brees 2.0.
Is there a more clear like desperation? Oh fuck, we don't know who we're starting at quarterback pick than Bo Nix at 12.
Yeah,
Dude, that they've been saying it all year. Like everyone was saying though that Sean Payton loved Bo Nix, that he is Drew Brees 2.0 to him, and that like he wanted him the entire time.
You know, I think that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah,
I don't even
I'm
believe that at
not-
all. I don't believe that. I mean, I kind of understand why he might say that he's Drew Brees-esque now, but Bo Nix, I remember Bo Nix because Bo Nix used to be,
2018 Bo Nix.
2018
Auburn
Bo
Bo
Nix.
Nix.
He used to be like a rushing quarterback. I don't know if you
he
guys
was
remember this
terrible.
when he was, what team did he play for? Was it
Auburn. He played at
Auburn?
Auburn. Yeah,
Yeah,
he sucked.
man. He used to be like Sean Clifford 2.0. The dude was out there like doing QB powers and like
Yeah.
would like sit back there for 2 seconds and then try and run it up the gut. And just some really stupid plays. And obviously, him moving to Oregon kind of made him better. Like, he was able to kind of sit back there and make calculated passes, but he is not a first round quarterback. And that has got to be one of the worst draft classes in terms of like every player there was either a reach or they were falling from other teams for a reason.
Hmm.
Jonah Ellis is a guy who was originally projected as a second rounder edge, and he fell, and it's because he's kind of slow and doesn't have a lot of burst. Then you have Troy Franklin, who people were talking about potentially going first round to the Chiefs, and he
Yeah.
falls to the fourth round. You got to wonder why. Chris Abrams-Drain from Missouri, another guy, did terrible at the combine. You got to wonder, why did he fall to round 5 if he was like a second, third round pick guy a couple of weeks before the draft? I just don't see any way that this draft works out. I guess it works out if Bo Nix is Drew Brees and Jonah Ellis meets his potential and Troy Franklin meets his potential. But there's just no way that they hit on all 3 of those first 3 picks.
Yeah,
And then everything after that is, again, kind of questionable as to how they're going to use those players.
Well, I guess it's Zach Wilson time again.
Dude, I mean, I'm
feel
going
like
to
they
be
got
honest
2
with
Zach
you.
Wilsons.
This is probably going to be a future hot take of mine, but I think Zach Wilson is going to go there. I think Zach Wilson's going to start and play real games at Denver. We'll see how Bo Nix does in training camp, but that is a future hot take in the Locked and Loaded.
Well, I feel like they just got like the same, the very similar, for sure.
Yeah.
Ricky. Oh yeah, I forgot they got Parso. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who?
Ricky
Ricky.
Purcell.
Oh yeah.
He's all right. He had that one really good catch. I don't know if you guys remember that. He had that catch.
Yeah.
He jumped up and like caught it with his helmet and got absolutely
Yeah.
fucked.
I'm surprised they had the Vikings so low. I mean, I get it because JJ is a hella reach, but Dallas Turner is going to be good, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Kyrie Jackson's going to be all right too.
Yeah. Also, they got the best kicker in the draft here at Will Reichard. Dallas Turner at 17 that's a really good
Wild.
place for him. That's a
Yeah.
good place for him.
Yeah.
And I mean, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think it's just that has to all be JJ, right? Like that's why they're so low, because they took JJ there.
I assume that, and there's really nothing in between from round 1 and 4. Like, there's no good second, third round picks. Like,
You also have to remember that they traded up to get both Dallas
Oh, yeah,
Turner
true.
and JJ McCarthy. They traded a lot of future picks and future assets to get those 2 guys. And they're both guys that I think the league is kind of like they're development players.
mhm.
Dallas
Yeah.
Turner's a development player. JJ McCarthy's a development system quarterback a little bit. And so it's like, yeah, they're players who you're probably going to put in your team and they're going to play well at some point. But to trade so much to get those guys,
Seems a
And
little bit of a reach.
it makes sense. I still believe in my heart of hearts that Denver was looking at JJ McCarthy, and that's why they went with a trade up. Because to trade up from 11 to 12, or sorry, 11 to 10 to get JJ, something tells me somebody else was trying to trade up to 10 to get JJ. And
Yeah,
I
that
don't
makes
think any news has leaked as to who yet, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, there they
Yeah, I
are.
mentioned it
God, man,
earlier.
why
I
are the
was-
Bills so low, man?
mentioned it earlier. While I was watching their picks live from the first round there, I was just so confused. But since we've had some time to think about it, I mean, like you said, it sort of makes sense. But in the moment, it was just so weird.
I mean, the Buffalo Bills are turning into a poverty franchise, and I'm okay with
Oh
that.
my God.
Did
Well,
they
that should
ever
be
get
your
out of
hot
that
take.
position, or
That should be your hot take. Holy hell.
Dude,
I mean,
they're
I think
not good. They're
I
not
think
good.
trading back to and getting some of these guys with a trade back, I think that should be, worth more. Keon Coleman is a perfect fit for Buffalo. He's going to come out and he's going to be a WR1 on that team pretty quickly.
yeah,
Well,
Cole
doesn't take
Bishop
much.
is pretty
Holy
good
shit.
too. So Cole Bishop coming in and filling the shoes of either Poyer or their other safety who I'm blanking on the name, Micah Hyde. Like, he's going to come in and he's going to do a good job filling that hole. So I'm not mad at the draft. I think they did a really good job with their first 2 picks, and they traded back to get those first 2 picks. So can't be mad at it.
yep.
Oof.
Xavier Leggett, baby. What did I tell you, you fools?
Okay. Relax. I mean, I like this draft.
And
I don't
Jonathan
know why
Brooks. I
it's
can't
so
believe
low,
you didn't
but
have
man,
Jonathan Brooks higher.
I think Leggett is going to be good. I think Brooks is
Good.
Fine. I think he's gonna start. I don't think he's good. I think he's fine. Jatavion Sanders was getting a lot of hype too. That's a really fast tight end.
I
think I've
I
heard
think
about
the
him before.
Panthers just need a lot more help than what this
Oh, they're
class is
getting
going to
it,
give
buddy.
them.
Don't
Like
you
they're going to
worry.
be maybe better than next year, sure, but they're still not going to be like that team that's causing upsets or anything like that.
Oh no, they're gonna win 2 games instead of whatever the hell did they win 2 this year? They're gonna win 3.
I think they won two, yeah, two or three.
I disagree. I think the Carolina Panthers are going to win 7 games this year.
No
can see,
way.
like,
Bryce
5.
Young Bryce
Four
Young's still
or five,
bad. I don't
maybe.
know if you haven't realized
Listen,
that.
listen, Bryce Young is not that bad.
He's not good enough to win 7 games this year, I promise.
Well, I think we're going to find that out very quickly.
Oh, we will.
So
We will.
with the Cowboys here, I mean, I think this ranking's fair because when I think back to the draft, I don't even remember the Cowboys drafting anyone. Like I can't remember any. I mean, obviously they took these guys, but I don't remember any large media coverage about who they took or like surprising picks or interesting moves or anything. Like to me, it was almost like the Cowboys were just not even there. Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
it's fair to say they're really not that good at drafting besides like one guy every year. That's really just what they do.
Yeah. I think my favorite pick that they made is Cooper. I don't even know how to say his name. I've never said his name out loud. Cooper Beebe.
Yeah,
I think that's
Beebe.
probably their best value pick. I think that guy is probably gonna be a really good, consistent depth piece. I don't like Guyton. I think Marshawn Nealand is again, he's fine. But yeah, I think you're right. And I had the Dallas Cowboys as my hot take, so I don't know if I should give that here if we're waiting to the end. I don't want to break the format again, but
All
I
right, well,
guess we can
we'll get to
wait.
32 quick, I
Let's
guess.
get to 32. We can go.
the one and only.
Hey,
yeah.
Michael
Oh,
Penix.
yeah.
Michael Penix. Go.
We could spend another hour on this pick, on
100%.
this particular draft. I'll let you two, since you two are positive about this, I will let you two talk about this, and then I am going to come in and I'm going to crush your dreams.
Okay.
'Cause
All
this
right.
is
Well,
terrible.
all I want to say
Go
is
ahead.
that they must have got intel somewhere that someone was going to take Michael Penix, or otherwise they wouldn't have done it. And then
Yeah.
2, I mean, they had to cleanse their palate after the absolute god awful quarterback they had. I think his name was Desmond Ritter. He was an absolute atrocious quarterback. He couldn't complete a pass. So anything is better than that guy. So you know what? I think this is a plus if you just look at it as who they had last time, and now they're already a step up.
Yeah,
That's all I have to say. I don't
this
care
was-
anything else about the rest of their picks.
This pick was definitely the shock of the draft. I mean, going this high, especially to the Falcons who just signed Kirk Cousins. But I've seen a few other podcasters and media pages report how it kind of makes sense because if he can sit behind Kirk Cousins for a year or two, like, hey, Kirk Cousins doesn't work out, at least you got Michael Penix to come in. Kirk Cousins does work out, you got him to sit there for a year or two and then take over. Because I assume they're not going to keep Kirk for the full 4-year deal that they have, right? Probably gonna.
Yeah. So, are you guys done?
Yeah, lay it on us,
Are you
baby.
ready
I
for
know
this?
you're pumped up
Okay.
for this.
Here's the thing. First of all, I will say this about the Falcons draft. They're only at 32 because of the Penix pick. Because I think Rook Orohoro and Braylon Trice and Jace McClellan from Alabama, those are really good picks. Those are really good players that they added to their roster. I think maybe you have like one of the best front sevens that the Falcons have had in like 7 or 8 years with Rook and Braylon kind of coming in. You have Abichetti from Penn State kind of making a leap last year. I don't think that this Falcons team is going to be terrible. However, this Penix pick has to be one of the worst picks of all time. Let me break this down. So,
Okay.
because you guys both said some things that were positive, and let me tell you this. First of all, Michael Penix Jr., the one thing that I heard from you two also in particular is that Michael Penix did not need to sit, that he was starter ready. So now all of a sudden it's not, oh, well, he's a starting quarterback. Now it's, well, he gets to sit behind.
I have, to be fair, I have always said I think it's better when quarterbacks can sit behind an established veteran. I think it's always better for their career.
I didn't pick where I wanted him to go,
But
but
I
obviously I'm
think,
going to root
yeah, I
for
was
it.
gonna say I didn't think he was going to the Falcons by any standards. I think if he would have went
So
to a
here's
team that
listen,
needed a quarterback, he could have definitely started and been one of the better picks.
listen. I'm not done. That first of all, like I said, he is not somebody who should be sitting behind a quarterback for 2 years just because his
Old.
big thing was he was pro ready. And now all of a sudden he's sitting behind Kirk Cousins for a minimum of 2 years. And oh, by the way, Kirk Cousins, 4 year, $180 million deal, 100 million of that coming in the first 2 years. So you're right. They could cut ties with Kirk Cousins after 2 years if he's not good. But you're paying him $100 million.
I know.
What is the one benefit to having a quarterback on a rookie contract is that you can spend that money elsewhere. So you're not even getting the benefit of having a cheap quarterback that's good and pro ready because you're paying Kirk Cousins. Even if I've heard people say, well, maybe Kirk Cousins isn't going to be ready and Michael Penix is going to start this year and play games this year. Okay. But you're paying Kirk Cousins $100 million to do fucking jack shit. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Second of all,
One
third
thing
of all,
I would want to chime in there since we're talking about Penix sitting real quick. If he does sit behind Kirk, Penix was what, the oldest or second oldest QB in this draft, right?
right.
Yep.
This was my next
Which
point.
is still so confusing why they took him. Because if he
He
is
will
sitting,
be
it's gonna be what he's gonna be.
he's going to be 24 by the start of training camp, which means his
Yeah,
best chance at
26.
starting, he will be a 26-year-old quarterback when he takes his first snaps as a starter as of today.
Yeah.
With a potential to maybe not be a starter until he's 28 if Kirk Cousins can come out and be consistent for 4 years. So, and again, the whole time, even if he does come in at the end of that, they're paying Kirk Cousins $180 million over that
Is
4 year span.
Is this gonna
And the
be like a
Falcons are a
Trey
team that
Lance
are
situation for the Falcons
interrupt
where
me one more fucking time, Mitch. I swear to God.
sorry, just wanted to throw it out there.
I didn't even hear what you asked. What did you ask?
I was gonna say, is this gonna be like a Trey Lance situation for the Falcons like it was with the Niners, where they took him so high and then
I'm going to be honest. I have no idea what the Falcons are really going to do here. I think obviously we're not the only people to like kind of try and figure out what their plan is here. But yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I think that this is a team that is so far away from being a Super Bowl contender, even with the addition of Kirk Cousins, even with the addition of Penix, that wasting the 8th overall pick and wasting $180 million over the next 4 years doesn't really make sense when you have this many holes. And dare I say, give me Desmond Ridder on a rookie contract and a 3rd round pick over either Kirk Cousins on a $180 million contract and Michael Penix at 8 overall. I just think that is a crazy move.
Ridder is just bad.
I was so good. I was so with you until you finished it with that blasphemy of how shitty Desmond Ridder is. Okay,
Yeah,
that guy will never start another game again, and I can promise you that because
Hey,
he is actually terrible.
he would only start if quarterbacks get hurt.
If
And
every
the
other
Cardinals
quarterback
wanted him.
died that's in the NFL, if they were all shot and killed, and they'd be like, God damn it, we should probably just kill Desmond Ritter and start
I'm
over
going to get our
again."
podcast taken down off the web. Desmond Ridder, the Cardinals wanted him. I will say, I appreciate that Desmond Ridder went to the Falcons because I think it was the perfect place for him to go. He got to start for a year and a half, and that was great. But the Cardinals want him. And what that tells me is that prepare for 2025 for Desmond Ridder to start for the Cardinals and Kyler Murray to be traded to the Jets.
Jesus.
You're hearing it here first.
Oh God.
All right.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. I mean, they should have taken Penix. I'm very sad about it because I really want him to actually do something. And now I have to support a guy that's going to ride the fucking pine for 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very sad. Very sad. But,
All right.
well, you know, when you're a poverty franchise, you're a poverty franchise. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Well, you guys want to get into these hot takes and sign off?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go first here tonight. So my hot take is a little bit of a fantasy take. Okay. Sorry, let me back up because so I did have a Cowboys related take that I wanted to say. And I didn't say it because I kind of got cold feet at the end because I started to see this take literally today. I didn't see anybody else taking this take. But I think with the Dallas Cowboys offseason, I think that they're going to be a bottom 10 team next year, and I think that they're going to blow it up.
Ooh.
I think not Desmond. I think Dak Prescott gets traded.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a decent chance that CeeDee Lamb is the only player on that team that gets signed to a contract for next year. I think you're going to see their guard Zach Martin retire. They've got other O linemen on last year contracts. Their cornerback room consists of two guys who can't stay healthy, in Darren Bland and Trevon Diggs. I think they're going to blow it up. And I think they'd be a very interesting landing spot for Quinn Ewers out of Texas,
Mm,
to take him
yeah.
potentially in the first round with a top 10 pick. Again, I don't know how hot of a take that is anymore because I've been seeing them, trading Dak. I've been seeing them, people talk about how their
Just
offseason has
sort
been
of like
so
a
bad that they're going to be terrible. I still stand by that hot take because when I was looking at the Super Bowl odds for the Texans, and they were at 7, you'll never guess who was sitting right there at 8. It was the Dallas
My
Cowboys.
boys. I think
So,
they are every preseason too.
and this year it makes the least amount of sense that it has ever made.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
my greatest goal for this podcast is that we never have a Dallas Cowboys fan listen to us or enjoy us. So hopefully we can keep it that way.
Yeah, fuck you,
So that
Cowboy
was
fans.
a little mini hot take. My second mini hot take, if that one's not hot enough for you, is a fantasy related hot take. I know that one of the things that we want to do on this podcast is eventually start talking a little bit about fantasy football, especially as we get into the off season where there's not going to be a whole lot to talk about in terms of news and draft and stuff like that. And so I want to make the very bold claim that the best receiver in this class, in this draft class, fantasy wise, in the 2024-2025 season will be Lad McConkey. I think
Whoa.
he is going to average somewhere between 5 catches and like 65 yards, probably like 0.5 touchdowns. I don't see a world where he is not the Chargers WR1. And people are acting like just because Greg Roman and Harbaugh are coming in, that Justin Herbert's going to throw less than, you know, 10 passes a game and he's going to have 0 yards and 0 touchdowns. I think Justin Herbert is still going to come out and have 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 yards potentially with at least 30 touchdowns. And if you look at the rest of that team, there's not very many really, really good players to catch the ball. And
Facts.
I think you're going to see Justin Herbert lean on Lad McConkey's route running and hands, and he's going to be a really good red zone target as well. And I think he has a serious potential to be rookie of the year,
Mhm.
offensive rookie of the year, if it wasn't such a QB heavy class. I think he will be the fantasy WR1 for rookies, though. And that is my official hot take. I'm locking it in.
All
So what
right.
do you guys
Locked in. I like it.
I like it. It's hot, but it's not like unrealistic, let's say.
Thank you.
Dill?
No, you can go first. Go ahead.
Okay. I touched on it earlier, and like we said, it's not like a super hot take, but I do think the Texans with this draft had filled what they needed just to make that Super Bowl push. Last season they got beat by what, 30 or so points in the divisional round. So I mean, I don't know if it was just lack of postseason experience or just tiredness or just a lack of skill. I really can't say for certain. Maybe a combination of all three. But I think with this draft they just got enough where they can make that push. Whether they'll win the Super Bowl, I don't think so, but they can at least make it there. Um, honestly, that's probably my hottest take of the draft. I really don't have too
What
many
a fucking
others.
mild ass take, but all
I
right.
know it's like I
Welcome
said
back
though at
to
the beginning,
the
this draft.
school of regular ass takes.
Thank you. But like I said though, this draft it wasn't great by any standards, but it wasn't bad by any standards. It was sort of like a middle of the road draft for the most part, outside of like the first round. Like sure you had those guys in the second and third rounds who may end up being someone, but it was just I think this is gonna go down as one of the least memorable drafts later on, like throughout the years.
Okay. Nice. I like it. I
I
like it.
don't, but let's continue.
I think my hot take will be that the Caleb Saquon Williams will lead the Chicago Bears to the NFC Championship and will
Ooh.
beat the San Francisco 49ers and go to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I'm riding it, baby.
See,
I'm
That's
riding
the
it so
fucking
hard.
take. That's the take I want to hear, man. That's
Yeah.
the shit I want to hear.
I think it's going to be Chicago Bears, San Francisco 49ers, NFC Championship. It's a tight ass game, and I think Caleb Saquon Williams comes out with the win.
is the
see, I
first
like
time I'm-
Ryan's hot take because it was actually realistic. This is just
What? Oh
this
my!
is
I'm
just
sorry, I didn't pick a
mad.
team that was fucking 2 games away from the Super Bowl to win the Super Bowl. You fucking.
Hey, I
loser.
mean,
I think the 49ers might win the Super Bowl because they had a really good draft. That's really hard to say.
I think that's a perfect take. I think it is
Thank
the
you.
right level of hot, and also it could happen. I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
we're
dude,
at
they
a
got all the
point in
hype.
year where
The Packers almost did it this year with a young core. Like there's 100%
yeah,
capacity.
and we'll have to get our friend Dawson on the podcast here to talk about the Lions, but I don't think that the Vikings are a contender next year. I don't think that the Packers are necessarily there. I mean, again, another hot take for another day. I don't think Jordan Love is a Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback. And I don't think that Jared fucking Goff is a Super Bowl winning
Oh my
quarterback either.
god!
So
I
you
I can't
gotta
wait to talk
wonder.
about this.
You gotta wonder if the Lions are even in a place to actually get over that hump and win a Super Bowl. I think
Well, he
Jared
did
Goff
go to the
is,
Super Bowl.
did they win that? Did they win that?
Okay, he was going against Bill Belichick, and Sean McVay got he got out coached.
And he
even
made him
said
look
it.
like a
He said it.
clown. He
that
made
was also
Jared
one of
Goff
the
Yeah,
look
most
like a
It
clown.
was
boring Super
9-0.
Bowls ever.
That was the most boring game I've ever seen in my life.
Yes,
Yeah.
because he made Jared Goff look like a clown. He shut him down completely. The
Well,
Patriots
Jared
had
Goff
no
looked too
offense
clowny
either.
this year.
Well, we shall definitely see, but I don't think the Lions are necessarily, better than the Bears by any means. I think that there's a
No.
non-zero chance that the Bears do win the division, and I think saying that they're going to win the Super Bowl is a little bit unrealistic, but it is a hot take, and that's what this show is all about.
I think at least they're going to get there. Caleb Williams going to lead them. Like I said, he's going to beat the 49ers. And I don't know who they'll play. Pick any. We'll pick the Texans just to go with
Yeah.
Mitch's
There you go.
really hot take.
Hey, I
So
mean,
Texans Bears Super Bowl.
I like
I
that.
would
I
actually
think
like
they're a
that. That would be a
playoff
good
team.
one.
They're a playoff team. I would love to see Caleb Williams come in and instantly be really, really good. The Bears deserve it. They have had so many bad quarterbacks. The last good quarterback they had was Smoking Jay Cutler. So
Yeah.
Stud.
Fucking baller, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for this episode, though. Good
see ya.
chat, boys. Can't wait to have more later in the year. See ya.
Go Texans. Yeehaw.